Welcome to episode 18 of the Hearty Gentleman. On today's episode, we have Selena Moon. Selena and I shared the stage at the Perfect Practice seminar a week before this episode was filmed, and she was talking on stage about the 4 seasons of entrepreneurship. I thought this was a very interesting topic and wanted to know more, so I ran up to her and was like, "Can you please come on the podcast?" And she said yes immediately. So I hope you enjoy Selena Moon, episode 18 of The Hearty Gentleman. Can we start? Yeah. Oh. Hello, everyone. The Hearty Gentleman is back. Depending on when you listen to this, or it's just now, because this could be your first episode, but we don't know. So The Hearty Gentleman is exclusively sponsored by Migraine Rescue. Migraine Rescue is the leading natural program to help people get over their migraines.
Yeah, you're really doing that, eh?
Yeah.
You're really doing an ad?
I'm doing that. I'm not biased because it's mine. It really is the best. I just felt we needed an ad. I'm like, who can pay our advertising? I know, Migraine Rescue. I know the CEO quite well. I see him in the washroom every day because he's me. So today or tonight, we are with Selena Moon. And we were always sort of in the same social circle, but never met.
Yeah.
And I was first introduced to you by mutual friend Sachin Patel. And you have many different hats. You run your own event.
Yep.
Called?
The 4 Seasons of Successful Entrepreneurship.
Which is what I actually want to talk to you about today.
Yeah.
The idea that being an entrepreneur isn't just a one state thing, that you actually go through different seasons.
Exactly. And I think we all kind of learn that over time as entrepreneurs, that if you keep expecting your summer, which is your time of success and taking action and manifestation to happen all year long, you're going to burn out. You're going to be disappointed, and you're basically going to have failed expectations. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs deal with that. And it's important going into it, or even after however many years you've been in it, to recognize that things happen in cycles, and we have experiences in life that we go through different phases in life, and we go through different seasons in life. So it makes sense to have different cycles or seasons of your business.
And your own personal growth in your business, yourself.
Well, when I think about it, wherever you go as an entrepreneur, your business goes with you.
Mm-hmm. True.
Right? So whatever your business represents, you're that. Everywhere you go, your business goes with you, because you're the founder of your business. You're the brain behind your business. So anyone who's going to have any kind of experience with you is also going to get a taste of what your business is about, because it's what you're obviously going to be remotely, at least hopefully, passionate about.
Yeah, I don't know too many unpassionate, lack of passion entrepreneurs, because generally you're right. If you took that risk and you said F you to the man, I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
You're probably doing something you really like.
Yeah. And I think that after a few years, you either just give up if you don't really love it, because you recognize how much energy and time it's needed for you to put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't love it, it's going to be really hard for you to stay through the challenging times.
So where did you get the inspiration for this whole idea of the 4 seasons?
Just consistently feeling like a failure. Not having a proper measuring device to actually understand how much I had progressed, because I was looking at all the wrong things. So a friend of mine actually, she recommended a book to me called The Organic Entrepreneur. And this book is by Maxine.
Pesticides?
No pesticides in your entrepreneurial venture. Yeah, it's written by a woman named Maxine Hindman, and she's even based out of Ontario, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
I just found that out today. I sent her a little shout out because I wanted to give my gratitude to her. So after reading this book and really understanding that there's this consciousness that we can really tap into within our businesses. It's not just in our everyday lives and in our relationships, our private relationships, and in our health, that we want to bring this energy of consciousness to, we want to bring that energy of consciousness into our business. And I think sometimes people don't understand what that really means and how that looks, because we're just so conditioned to being in this world of competition and feeling that like we have to compete with other businesses, or that we have to do things to maybe cut corners in order to make profits. And really what this book is about, it's helping you to expand your consciousness and really shine from the inside out, to recognize that you're going to have to go through the evolution of self as you go through your evolution of business. And as long as you continue to reconnect with your heart and to connect with the vibration of love and service, you can learn how to manage your need for material wealth with your need for service and purpose.
Yeah, I think often that material wealth wins out with most people.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to see that. Like, the last guy we had on the podcast spoke very much about the same thing, how his dad like sold his business, and it was like such a big accomplishment. It was all this, I guess a lot of money came in, and then like 5 days later his mom got diagnosed with cancer, and like how little the money meant. And I'm sure there was a lot of hours that went into that business, a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that balance,
Yeah.
what is it at the end? What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I think it's really powerful when you can start to recognize that you can also be on either end of that spectrum, by the way. So you can be too much into the material wealth, or you can be too much into the service aspect where you're not focusing on building wealth. And that can also put you in a not so favorable space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, based on what I've experienced, I started this course called Surrender to Your Purpose a couple years ago. And it was a full-on download where one day I'd finished like my first signature event, Illuminate Your Magic, which is actually where Sachin spoke.
Okay, cool.
And I was kind of depressed because I spent all this time creating this event, and like it was this big thing, and I like really wanted to meditate on every person coming in and really provide the best. And so I spent months preparing for this event.
You had a lot of people turn out to that one.
I did. I probably worked too hard at that though, and I definitely got burnt out after. And I also had this feeling of sadness after. So not only did I feel burnt out, but I actually felt like suddenly I had no purpose, and like everything just kind of felt sad. It was like, okay, so I worked so hard to create this event and it was amazing, but now what? So I started channeling and asking Spirit for some guidance, like what's next on the list of how to serve the world. And I remember I had to cry a lot of tears to really release some of those feelings that I had. I don't know if you've ever done anything like that before, where you're just like, you work so hard for it. It's kind of probably how people feel after they get married. They work so hard to like their wedding. Everything's about the wedding, leading into the wedding. And you're just thinking about all these things when you're like,
and then boom,
you're married. And it's like, oh, now
what's changed? Nothing.
Yeah. So it was kind of the same feeling, right?
I had that when I hit the financial success I wanted at work. Like when I hit all my goals, I was getting a lot of clients, and I was like, this is going to be me for the next 40 years. This doesn't feel fulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's where it was like I really started to try to be more heart-centered, of being like, how can I really take more interest in my clients?
Yes.
And what can I do from my skill set to make their lives easier or help enrich them? And not like in an ego sense, but like, and when I started doing that, then the fun came back.
Yeah.
I was, again, being able to work 10, 12 hours a day without, you know, hating it at all. Like I never really hated my career, but you know, there was just excitement more so.
That's incredible.
All the time.
You think it was more like the excitement, or like the actual caring side of it that pushed you through?
I think when you I think it's because I had more care and desire. I really wanted to see all my clients succeed. Because I started, like for me, it was because I work in, you know, I sell professional supplements to naturopaths and medical doctors. And I truly think we're at an issue. We have this issue in our system where there are too many sick people. And I look at naturopaths and these functional medicine doctors as like the first, like they're like the new conquistadors into health. And they're going to help transform our world and start getting people healthy again. And I'm like, okay, so if I can help these guys get busier, that means everyone else is going to benefit. Like imagine helping a mom who has an autoimmune condition and they have no energy to take care of their kids, go to games, like be the present mom, but then somehow getting that doctor to come in the awareness of that mom who never would have known about them and have that autoimmune condition suppressed enough that she can live her life. Like, what is the amplified effect? What's the tornado at the end of the butterfly wings to that? And that's where my motivation comes for work. It's not so much I want to be the number one supplement sales rep in the world. It's like I work for a great company, so it's easy. I like what we do. But how can I use all the knowledge I've learned from such great people to sort of help it?
Wow.
We never talk about that stuff. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Great question.
That's how I came up with the whole six archetypes.
Which was awesome, by the way.
I'm happy you liked it. I don't know. I was doing it. I'm like, why is no one answering?
Honestly, I was just blown away by that. Well, that's interesting because you actually on stage, you talked about how that was downloaded to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was actually just about to tell you is I had that was my download. It was
The
like
4 seasons.
No, it was another one called Surrender to Your Purpose.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
So that was a huge program that I decided I'm just going to take all these entrepreneurs and I'm just going to transform their lives.
Let's pause for 1 second
Sure.
though. Because I know what a download means.
Yeah.
You know what a download means. Colin?
Well, I do, but you should explain it.
Yeah, because there's some people who are like, what do you mean download? You got an app, you push some button. Like, what is this, 1997 with Kazaa and Napster?
Basically, I was hanging around you, and I've heard 8 people say it, so like I get the terminology. I'm like, okay,
So
I didn't know before.
what do you, so for people who think it's more than just like a Napster download, like you didn't just download this like book and you're like, I'm going to take it as my business. What is a download?
Sure. So for me, I guess everyone might experience this differently. So it's a great question. For me, a download is like, I'll just be in a meditation and all of a sudden this stream of information will come through. And it's like, it's definitely beyond me. It's beyond my current knowledge base. It's beyond any kind of language that I'm even used to using. It's beyond my normal thought patterns. And it's like a really strong energy. So it's almost as if like, if I don't pay attention to this, then I'm going to lose something. It's almost like I feel like I'm getting hit by lightning. And generally when that happens, I tend to write. So I had my phone that day and I just started writing. And within half an hour, I developed an entire program, a full-on 3-day program. And it was like all about entrepreneurs. So
yeah,
what's a download to you?
Same thing. Like what I've been doing more and more now, there's certain music I can listen to and get downloads. Like if it's like a house song or something without lyrics where I'm not thinking. If I'm in the car and I'm just in a state where I'm like just it comes. But going for walks, that's my biggest thing. Like I was walking in the ravine when that one came. Because if you're just ruminating on all these things all the time, there can't be room for something to come in.
True.
And that's been my biggest inspirational moments is like Migraine Rescue is another example of that. So Migraine Rescue, the #1 natural health program for migraine sufferers. I'm making it #1. But that was the same thing. I was like, man, I was just sitting there. I'm like, wow, you're not a doctor, but you've been able to get over your migraines by knowing all these amazing people. Right. Why don't I just take what they've taught me, put it online, the basics, boom. It's like those thoughts that who makes those thoughts? Where do they come from? Right. Or even this podcast, like, is the same thing. Or
I guess for me it was at least.
Yeah. So we've said.
I thought of it and then I called you and then you said, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, we had that conversation. It was like, I'm like, Colin, like I got this mic. You're like, I've been looking for someone to do a podcast with. It's like, boom, one night after I bought all the equipment that he already had, which is just sitting collecting dust now. But
bring it over here, I'll take it.
We could set up a 6 mic. Could you imagine you, Darren, Tracy, Brian, Angelito, oh, Sachin. That would be like this. I don't know what we call that one. You know what I want to do though, and you're definitely invited. Cool. We're gonna have like a meet and greet party for anyone who's been on the podcast, like every 30 episodes, I think.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That would actually be cool.
Yeah. So so surrender to purpose.
Yeah. So surrender to your purpose. And next thing I knew, I had like all these entrepreneurs just coming into the space, and I held 3 different workshops. 2 were in Toronto, 1 was in Calgary. And basically by the end of it, I got a really clear understanding of what's going on with entrepreneurs because I had basically intensively worked with about 40 of them. So by that time, I had all these new entrepreneurs in my network, and I was really able to observe how they were functioning, what were some of the things that we worked on, what were some of the things that people were struggling with. And so I started really building my passion in terms of what is it that excites me and who are the people that I want to work with? Because what I found is that these people that were entrepreneurs just acted differently. They spoke differently. They had a different energy about them that really invigorated me as a human being. And so I realized that these are the people that I want to serve because they're so excited. They're so creative. They're so passionate. They're driven. They're ambitious. They want to help people. They're willing to sacrifice and put anything on the line in order to create something better for this world. And so I really resonated with that. The leader in me also just got super activated because I'm a Leo. So I love leading and I love the idea of building tribes and communities. And so it really brought to surface like the importance of working with entrepreneurs. So by the time I had done that and then read the book, I was at an entrepreneurial event actually last year. I don't know if you've ever been to or heard of the summer networking bash.
No.
Okay, there's a woman. Her
In
name.
Toronto?
Yeah, there's a woman. She does this every year. She's done it for like 20 years. Her name is Jennifer Beal, I think, and it's August 15th. If you want to check it out, check it out.
Colin. Every time we have a guest on, it's like we got this event and that. We're going.
So many events.
It's like a entrepreneurial
Summer
summer
networking bash.
event.
Yeah.
Bash.
So I went there last year, and to be honest, I didn't really like going to networking events because I felt like, well, I'm an empath. I don't like big events to begin with unless I'm running them. But I go where I'm called.
What's an empath?
Oh, I just like it. For me, an empath is somebody that really feels other people deeply and intensely. So
Not to cut you off, just some people might not know. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. So yeah, sometimes I got to just be alone. And so being around a lot of people can be a little taxing for me. But something was telling me you got to go to this networking bash. So I show up there and I'm like, all right. I talk to Spirit all the time. I'm like, Spirit, show me why I'm here. And I sit in this room and this woman's on stage. She's speaking about her real estate business and all this stuff. And suddenly she's like, and I want to introduce you to my client. And so she brings her client up on stage. And suddenly I just get like my head starts buzzing and I start to feel a little bit lightheaded. And I'm like, oh, okay, I know what this means. This is the person that I meant to meet. So after the talk, I like beelined it over to her client. And I was like, I don't know who you are, but I'm Selena. And it's a pleasure to meet you. I'd love to know more about what kind of work you do. And then of course that's my colleague Rochelle.
The one I met?
The one you met. Yeah.
Wow.
So I beelined it over to her because I just felt this strong energetic pull. And it turns out that she has a business that works with entrepreneurs. So we started talking about it and I told her to read the book, The Organic Entrepreneur, and she just got super excited about the book as well. So we realized that her specialty is really in like the physical. She works with a lot of like health practitioners as well. And she also is very passionate about finances. And both of us have a little bit of experience working with relationships with people, but my specialty is in emotions and spirituality. So we decided to create a 5-pillar workshop to talk about the 4 seasons of entrepreneurship by combining our knowledge and our resources and providing people with the best of the best and in understanding how to run their business. So that's how it all started. Yeah.
I like that.
Surrender to your purpose.
I like that people like this are getting into the entrepreneurial space.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, it's really needed.
I think entrepreneurs have always been a little bit like that. They just don't want to, they never really wanted to vocalize it.
Well, there's no time for it.
Right.
They always feel like
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we really want to change, because the feeling of there's not enough time is a feeling of scarcity. It's just the same effect on the body as there's not enough money.
Yeah. And
right?
You know what changed my life actually on that realm? I started telling myself, I got a download of it, there's no rush, you're worth the wait.
Yep.
And how many of us don't feel that? Oh, if I'm late, they won't love me. Someone might come up with this idea first. They might do it better. Like, boom. We're in this society where it's like you feel that you can't just relax or surrender into to things. Yeah. And it's funny. The more I've been surrendering, easier life is.
And so I don't think we have to work as hard as we think we do. And that's really the notion that I feel like we're ready to just eradicate. Because if you read all these self-help books, there's still a lot of that talk in these books where people are saying, oh, you just got to work really hard. But what does work actually mean? It's a symbol of resistance. Work sounds like you're actually putting effort into something. But like you said, it felt like work to you to work 10 to 12 hours a day when you didn't have a deeper purpose behind what you were doing. But when you actually brought your heart into the whole game, suddenly you're still working 10, 12 hours, but it's not work anymore. It's play.
Yeah.
Right.
I could do probably 10 of these podcasts in a day.
There you go.
No, I mean,
and I say I could run a big event every single week. Yeah. Like I have energy for that because that's what excites me. So when you are doing what you love, it stops feeling like work.
So doing what you love, getting the business going spring.
Yeah.
Is that what the season would be?
Well, getting the business going is really, it's creating new connections. It's being able to come up with new ideas and new projects. So that's really where the spring is. And then the summer is when those projects actually manifest. So that's when you really start to blossom. You see the money coming in, the relationships are flourishing. People are just in complete alignment, right? And then after that, you kind of prune and you recognize, okay, well, what things worked, what projects actually brought us happiness and success, and what didn't. And I don't know how many of you guys listening are entrepreneurs, but even if you just look at your life and consider any projects that you may have done, or even any relationships you might have gone into, you may not take that time to sit back and say, well, what worked about this relationship and what didn't, and what can we navigate now or talk about to maybe enhance this, or to really just depart from this and say goodbye, right? Like I've created literally hundreds of business ideas. I have apps that I've built that I haven't even put out yet, years ago. I have probably 30 journals worth of writing that I've written in the last 6 years that nobody's even seen yet. Right. And I've filmed full-on courses that still haven't been released yet.
That's like me.
Right.
I'm the same.
So, I mean, and for me, it's just a process of learning, like, okay, well, what did I like about that? And what didn't I like about that? And what's changing? And so I'm consistently perfecting it. And it doesn't mean that everything works and it's super successful. But it also doesn't mean that it's not. Like at some point in the future, I might release all that stuff. But it's just been a beautiful process of saying, okay, these are the types of people I like to work with. These aren't the types of people I like to work with. So what I realized is people always wanted to put me with like-minded people. And I said, I don't want to work with like-minded people because that's not helping me. I want to work with people who have a different kind of mind than I do. Because if I keep working with like-minded people, we just keep making the same mistakes together. So I said, I want to work with people who are different from me, who can teach me something new, who can provide me with a different way of seeing the world. And that's really why I really vibe with Rochelle, because if you see her, she's totally not.
She's more stoic.
She's super stoic, and she's got a totally different vibe. Nobody would ever think we'd be friends, let alone colleagues, right? But we actually work beautifully together because she's organized and she's very capable of just like being efficient and effective, whereas I'm more of a free-flowing type person that wants to be creative and go over time and not write things down and not put things in order.
So she's the winter and you're the summer?
So no, she's more of the masculine energy and I'm more of the feminine energy, I would say.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
So what you were saying there, actually, I got to download mid
Yay!
Really, businesses could be like relationships in the sense of like when you break up with somebody, it's not healthy just to jump into a new relationship. Like you want to look back, you want to say, what did I learn from this person? You take that time off.
And that's also winter because it's also depressive.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
But a lot of entrepreneurs get so stuck up on like, did that one business succeed?
Yeah.
Rather than being like, hey, like imagine you had your first relationship, it failed. You're like, you're never going to date somebody else.
But do the Steve Jobs thing.
It's like, oh, I'm not meant for relationships,
Have
or I'm
one
not
outfit?
meant for business.
Steve Jobs? No.
He had one outfit.
After he got fired,
Yeah.
he went into the forest, started doing LSD with his buddy, apple orchard, and started thinking about things more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started doing a lot of LSD. And then he came out with those things.
Could you imagine? Kate, you broke up with this girl. No, Kate, you failed this business. You're going up to Muskoka. Here's 60 servings of LSD. Come back in a month or 2 months.
You need a little MDMA with that. It could be all LSD.
But no, like it. No, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck. Like, and you know what and tell me when you with your clients if you hear them complain about this. But I'm like you. Like I've tried a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Some things have done okay. Some things have failed. I've done a few things really well. But it's like, you know, even this podcast, people are like, oh, you're starting this podcast, like such a Jordan thing to do.
What does that mean?
Like starting something again.
Oh.
Like, you know, because I haven't made anything as successful as Steve Jobs or haven't made anything as successful as, you know, Richard Branson, it's like, just give up already. But if you relate it back to like dating, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, you can learn something with every new relationship or business venture and you bring it forward and eventually you'll find your lifelong partner.
Yeah. And you know what I think ultimately too? And again, totally just jump in here if you have a different opinion or want to add something, but I believe that entrepreneurship is just building the relationship with yourself at an accelerated rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's also to me like another path to enlightenment because the challenges that come up really test you as a human being And you have to be able to understand basic survival skills. You have to be able to understand how to ask for help and be humble. You have to understand when to lead and when to step back. You have to know when to be the teacher, when to be the student. You have to be able to cultivate resources effectively. You have to be able to get information quickly and solve problems rapidly. There's so many different aspects that are required as an entrepreneur that I feel actually shape us as human beings. And so for me, the success of an entrepreneur is actually the success of a human being.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good theory you have. That's it. Yeah, it's very true.
I like that.
That's very true. Because yeah, it does test you. Thinking back to when I had a cleaning business when I first started it, yeah, it was a big test, and I was like going around trying to get clients and shit. And it was like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got to push through boundaries.
yeah,
There's no one to fall back on, really. Like, you can build your team, but that's the biggest thing is you have to laugh at boundaries if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, they can't.
yeah,
There's no like, oh shit, I got to rely on my marketing department. There's no marketing department.
yeah, exactly. That's what it was. It was very weird. It's very weird. But I
And
did it.
school's designed the total opposite because you're always like, I got to hand this in for good marks when you work in a regular job. I got to do a good job so my boss notices, gives me a raise. When you're an entrepreneur, you all of a sudden become the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And there's no one watching over you. So, I mean, you can slack off or you can work too hard, and
You're not going to get the praise of working too hard,
you're not going to get paid right away. That's for sure.
depending on the business.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I went with cleaning. You make money quickly.
True. So yeah, and I think like we all go through these phases, and we all choose businesses that reflect where we're at in our lives. And I think it's part of discovering your purpose as well. I mean, not everybody is going to have their business as their let's say their calling. A lot of people might not be very excited about their careers, and that's okay because they're excited about their children, or they're excited about their maybe they're athletes, or maybe they have a thing for traveling, or they have a hobby and they want to just work in order to create time and space for them to enjoy these other aspects of their lives. And those are the people that are just mostly not entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah, not everyone's designed to be an entrepreneur.
Definitely. Yeah.
I find the rebel types.
Yes. The more indigo
Yeah,
children,
indigo
if you want to call them
rebel
that.
types, the guys who get in guys and girls who get in trouble at school.
Yeah. Drop out of school.
Yeah. So like towards like Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Gary Vee always talks about it. You think it's in the DNA?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think there's a certain kind of person that's cut out to be an entrepreneur. And I can usually tell when I meet somebody right off the bat if this is somebody who is an entrepreneurial type or not.
So that genetic test, Dr. Mansour Mohammed,
Yeah.
he's a PhD in genetics, I think.
Right.
Well, yeah, he's a genetic expert.
Is he an English?
English, yeah,
guy?
English Indian
Yeah,
guy.
very
yeah.
passionate.
Yes.
Man. Very
Imagine
passionate.
getting you get all these really top performing entrepreneurs and do their genetic panel and seeing if there's anything linking them.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what Sachin was saying that he wanted to do? Is
Yeah.
to be able to take all the most successful entrepreneurs and actually look at their genetics.
See if there's any brain chemistry genetics that are the same.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I think there is. I think there's an overactive. What's the COMT one that he was talking about? There's a gene that you can turn over dopamine fast, so you can stay motivated longer, kind of thing. And also you're able to disassociate from bad events easier than most.
Disassociate from bad events.
Yeah, like you don't hold grudges. You push through. You're like, yeah, it's in the past. So I think that gene would be more common in entrepreneurs because like
Interesting.
if you get stuck up on something, like if you had one bad business move and it crushed you for like a week, that's one thing. But if you crushed you and now you take that with you for years.
Maybe. I don't know. Because my mom started her own business. That's why I never believed it. And then all of a sudden my mom was like this really successful entrepreneur. And then I found out after my dad died that he was an entrepreneur for years too. And I was like, oh.
It's in the blood.
I was like, damn, I thought they were like just farmer kids.
Are your parents entrepreneurs?
I'm the only, my mom is an accountant, but she owns her own practice, which
So she's an
yes.
entrepreneur.
My dad, yes. My stepdad, not genetically related, yes. My grandparents,
Well, of course, that generation, 100%.
a lot of them like worked for Bell or, yeah, man.
Grandparents?
Our grandparents' generation, yeah.
Really?
They work for Bell or GM or any of those
Like
big.
survivors?
Well, no, that mine. They ran away. Yeah, like one of them, yes, was.
Okay.
One of them survived, like ran away, and then they got kidnapped in Russia and became slaves in Russia. They ate squirrels and acorns.
Wow. Because I remember back in like Poland and all those places, a lot of them were just like, I'm a blacksmith.
Do you know why Jews I had my Hebrew teacher tell me this, why Jews generally go for like accountant, lawyer, doctor.
Yeah, I do know.
Why?
Tell me. I've grown up around Jews.
So this is what I was told. They go, because Jews were persecuted for so many prosecuted. We had a lawyer on before. Persecuted for so many years and generations. If you're a really good tradesperson, like accountant, lawyer, banker, whatever, that's rare. I can go anywhere in the world and make money. So that's why those skills were pushed, is because
It's a wanderer skill.
yeah, it's a skill like, hey, you're a doctor. Let's say you're in Ontario and you want to go from, okay, Guelph got really bad. Let's go to London. You can do that. You can be a doctor, right?
Right.
And you're sought after too.
Yep.
So, yeah, like in my family,
I always just thought it was because they were paid well.
actually all my,
Honestly, that's what I thought.
so racist.
How's
No, I'm
that
kidding.
not
I'm kidding. I'm
racist.
kidding.
Indians are the same.
I'm joking. Humor. We need more humor. We don't need to be so serious. So, actually, my uncles, my aunts. The only one who wasn't was my aunt, she worked at BMO, Blackmont. She did really well, but then she had kids, and my uncle was a dentist, had his own firm, and then she started working for him.
It's totally in your blood.
But yeah, like it is because it's funny, it's the conversations are different, and also how you're brought up. Like this idea of a 9 to 5 didn't exist.
Same. Both
like,
my parents are entrepreneurs too, so
yeah,
I never knew what it was like for
What do you mean
people
8
to-
hours?
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't take a Friday afternoon off? Like that's the other thing. That's the other flip side. Like, if my dad or my stepdad really wanted to like do something on a Friday afternoon, we're taking it off. But more than not, it was like 6, 7, 8 days in a row at 12 hours a day.
Wow.
Like that weekend we just worked right now.
Yeah.
Most people have jobs.
Did we just work a weekend?
like the conference.
I don't even know what that means.
Right. No, but we were at that
Right,
conference
yeah,
and we were there 12 to 15 hours a day.
Yeah, we were there for a long chunk.
Like it was a 40-hour event in 3 days. Most people would be like, you did 40 hours in 3 days. What's wrong with you? Like you're a workaholic. It's like, what are you talking about? I got all this amazing education, met all these cool people.
Yeah. I have a question. Are your friends entrepreneurs?
All my top friends, yes. My circle's changed a lot. I don't relate. I have some friends of mine who, they work for like government jobs or, but yeah, there's definitely like a breaking in. Like I don't look for, like I was talking to one of my friends and he was like telling me about his new car he got. And he's like, yeah, I got this car and then, get married, have the kids, and I'll get the next car, like the next level up. And then, a couple more years will go by and get the next car. And I'm like, shoot me, man. I don't want to talk about this. I have different, but I have different friends. Like I got a really good friend of mine, Ofer. He's not an entrepreneur, but like he's so invested in spiritual entrepreneurship. Like he's always about developing spirituality, and that's it. You're saying like some people work as one. With him, it's like every day he meditates.
Right.
He's always seeking. He's walking in the forest, and so I think I definitely surround myself with seekers.
Okay.
And I don't have many friends who have like a big box job. No, I don't. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I always like to ask people that. What about you?
Top friends. Yeah, they all seem to be entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think so. Pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, about that.
And you?
All my friends are entrepreneurs. I have a really hard time, I notice, holding on to relationships with people that work 9 to 5 jobs unless there's a similar passion there. And I think it's just because I enjoy freedom and I enjoy being around people who have freedom. So I can just be like, hey, let's take the afternoon to go do this. And most people that have 9 to 5 jobs would be like, oh, I can't, I gotta work. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, oh, sorry, I gotta work. Oh, I gotta work. And that feeling of like, you hear that consistently from these people and it's like, I gotta work. And I think it used to trigger me too. Cause like the part of me that was a workaholic would get triggered and be like, oh, I gotta work too then. It's just,
but it's crazy. Cause like, yeah,
I should be doing that too.
I do what you do, the seasons thing. So I that's why I was like really excited to have you on. So like summertime's slower for me.
Yeah.
Like season wise, summer is my winter.
Yeah. So
like
that's
my
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Because like a lot of my clients, they have kids, they have families,
right?
So I use this time to like really reflect. I'm like, what have I done this past year? What can I do better in the future? Let's ask some of my clients, what have you liked? What you haven't liked? And I get a little guilt. Yeah. Being like, why am I busy enough in the summer? Am I doing enough? But at the same time, it's I'm rebuilding my energy because like September through December, I'm working minimum 70 hours a week. Wow. So like you can't do that all the time.
Right. Wow. I don't even know how many hours I work. Like I stopped even clocking it.
You're woke. She's entrepreneurially woke.
Well, it's so hard for me because it's like, what do you count as, like if there's a client email or something on my website that I got to update, or there's a phone call I got to make, or a text message I got to send, or an invoice I have to send. Like, I mean, when is like, I don't count that. I mean, I might be on a subway doing that, or I might be taking a walk and just like realizing, oh, I still got to do this. So it's like, for me, it's just a flow that's constantly moving through my life. But I've learned to be able to say, let's bring balance into this whole equation so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. Yeah.
So it's like a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
So, yeah.
Yeah. J-O-B. It's like a swear word.
Just
what?
Over.
What?
Broke.
Ooh.
That's not true though, because some people have jobs and they make like $500,000 a year. So.
Yeah. Or more.
Or more.
Right?
Yeah.
Like technically, LeBron James has a job.
Yeah.
He's not just over broke. Maybe if he was Jeff Bezos. Isn't that insane? If you said, Jeff, your LeBron James net worth now, he'd be like, what am I going to do? I only have like $500 million. Like he went from like 150 billion.
He'd be all right.
I don't know, man.
Everything is relative.
Everything's relative.
Everything is relative.
You go like this, you can sit like that for about an hour, and he'd get up and be like, all right, bye guys. And he'd just go off into a garage and start doing it all again.
I know, but it's just funny you think about that. Like,
or he might kill himself. You're right. He might just jump off a building. Just be
like there's one guy, Naveen Jain. He does like Viome, but he was big in tech. He lost more money than like some of the richest people ever.
Oh, really?
He lost like, I don't know, he lost like $2 or $3 billion.
Wow.
Like he was okay. He's okay. He has hundreds of millions. But you think about that, like that transition of
from
wealth.
Billions to millions. Like now you're not maybe flying private jets anymore.
Yeah. Like what was that show? Oh, it's with all the nerds who are typing. Like,
you got it. Come on.
Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay.
And there's the one character who's going to seed the money. And he sold his company for $1 billion. And then he lost like 30 million. And now he only has like 970 million. He's like, I don't have the 3 commas anymore. I got to pull all my money out. He's acting like he's broke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Do you mind if we go through like the whole thing of the seasons?
Sure.
Yes.
How does that happen from beginning to end?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, let's start with winter.
Okay. Yeah, so winter is like a time of like a lot of darkness, right?
Is this where it starts?
You can
like, let's just like where does it happen?
It's
no, like,
yeah, what's the first season?
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
So it can start anywhere.
The egg.
Right?
So
There's seasons.
So it can start anywhere.
It could start anywhere really, because I mean, yeah, that's a good question actually. Let's say spring, because that's really the new beginning. Okay. Right? Spring represents new beginnings, so that does make sense. And spring is a time where you're just planting seeds, right? So you're coming up with new ideas. I knew like when I was leaving my corporate job that I wanted to start a business, and the only thing that I knew how to do really well back then, I know it's probably going to be hard to believe this, but I was actually really into fitness at the time. And I was personal training, and I was working at a gym, and I was doing really, really well. And I had all these other background things going on, like NLP, and I was a metabolic balance nutritionist, and I had studied with this doctor in Germany, and I knew all these things. I had a degree in biology. And so I was really passionate about anatomy and all this stuff, and my clients were doing really well. And so I decided to pull out of that and start my own gym. And that was my first business. So that was a plan that for me, that was planting a seed for entrepreneurship. Was it planting a seed for, a whole big gym to flourish? No, absolutely not, because it didn't go that way. My gym closed down after 2 years because I got into this, and this is what excited me the most. And so that's kind of how it started for me personally. And I think everyone can attest to the fact that your business starts with just an idea. Mm-hmm. It's just an idea. It's maybe a desire to leave your job or a desire to start something or help people in some way, in a way that actually like resonates with you. Where I was working, I didn't feel like the values were in alignment with my values. So I really wanted to create something that was in alignment with my values, because it was important to me to have integrity in my work. So yeah, that's basically spring, when you're just coming up with new ideas, you're building a new network, you're starting to get excited about things, you're starting to see different projects and create things, right? And then summer is a time where you basically start to see the manifestations of what you've planted. So say, for example, okay, so maybe me planting the seed was just starting, I started gym, right? It was like at the back of a massage place where I just started renting off 2 rooms, and I had these construction workers come in and take a wall down, and I ordered a bunch of fitness equipment, and I was like really into bumper plates at the time, and I was like, I want to have bumper plates, and so I like set everything up, and that was me just planting the seed, but I wasn't making any money then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the building, setting the stage.
Yeah, there's a lot that had to happen there, and I obviously had to build a new network as well. So
Probably the most exciting and most infuriating part of being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then finally, it's like I have all these clients coming in, and I had to be honest, my summer was overwhelming. I had 13 clients a day. I don't even know when I had time to eat.
To train people.
Yeah. I used to train people 13 clients a day when I first started my business. And so talk about getting burnt out, right? So I did that, and my summer was, of course, flourishing, but on the inside, I was dying. And again, starting to realize about this whole empath thing. So it's like, why am I coming home with all these bad thoughts about myself and my body and all this stuff? And that's kind of how I started to realize, okay, like I need to start maybe changing the way I do things, because this isn't working. So then fall or autumn comes in, and it's like, okay, how can I revamp this process? I need to pull myself back from this and have a very good look at my lifestyle, and have a very good look at my life, and ask myself, is this serving me right now? Well, yeah, I'm happier that I left my job, but now I'm also in the situation where I'm definitely taking on way too many clients. Mm-hmm. So that's when it's like, all right, we're going to bring another trainer in, or we're bringing a couple more trainers in. So that's when fall comes in, when it's like, okay, let's start changing the way we do things. Let's look at all the failures and look at the things that I wasn't doing right, and start shifting my perspective, and like changing my I'm the leader and this is just my thing, and all that ego that comes in sometimes, having to shift some of that stuff. And then you just go into this place of complete darkness when winter comes around, because you're like, well, what am I doing? These trainers aren't even sticking around, and none of them are passionate like I am, or they're asking me for clients, but I have 13 clients a day. I don't have time to find them clients. And all these things were happening. So I was getting really stressed out. So my winter was just a time of depression. I was like, what do I do about this business? Right. And then it's like, okay, well, how can I do this differently now? Okay, well, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about running workshops. So how can I pull back clients? And now I can actually start using the space to bring all my clients together in one space and start running workshops with them. Then I have time to find clients for my trainers. Okay, so that's another spring coming around now.
And so the seasons can be any amount of length too.
Yeah.
They don't have to be 4 months.
No, not at all.
Or 3 months.
They could be 1 month. This guy actually at the conference told me he goes through 4 seasons every month with his business, the way he runs his business. So he does 1 week of talks, and then after he does his talks, he pulls back and he reflects on how things went with his talks, and then he just like takes another week to just like pretty much vacation, and then he goes back and finds other talks to do, and then he's,
Wow.
I try to do that twice a year. That's
there you go.
Yeah.
Do talks?
No. Well, no. Well, yes and no. I do a little bit more. But I try to go through those seasons. I get really...
You go through 2 cycles a year.
If I don't go through a winter, I get really anxious.
Yeah.
If I don't go, I'm like, wait, am I doing things right? Because you get so lost in the summer.
Yeah. Well, it's because your business is going through a winter, but you're not allowing the winter to happen.
Right.
You're resisting it.
Yep.
Which is why you get anxious.
Yep.
Staying in the summer.
Staying in the summer.
Everybody wants it to be summer.
It's something that I do.
I think you would.
I think I would too. I know.
You think so?
I stay in the summer.
Yeah, because you stay very up in the air.
It's because I used to. I have that like D personality, the like from the Discord.
I do too.
So it's like, let's go, and then I had to learn. And actually, I got to give credit to my
the DI thing.
Yeah, the disc score.
I'm a DI too.
I'm an IDDDI.
Nice. And we're all 3s in our life path number.
Boom!
And we're all fire signs and different ones.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Pow.
The power of the Holy Trinity.
Illuminati confirmed.
And we're all different hues of skin color.
Right?
Yeah, we're all different ethnic backgrounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got to give credit to my direct boss Daniel, because he was the one who taught me, like, slow down sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. Like, it's still work when I take a week off and I do administrative stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at what I was selling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at what I'm not selling. Let's look at what's doing well, what's not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't view that as work.
Right. But your
Or
body
productive
still needs
work.
a rest.
And that yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, I used to work Sundays for 5 years. And people would always be like, hey, let's hang out at Sunday. I'm like, what does that mean, Sunday? Like, Sunday for me is client day. That's when all my clients are off work. So that's my chance to just, like, help as many people as possible in one day. And then I realized I'm really not happy working Sundays anymore. And after 5 years, I finally, actually just a year ago, decided to no longer take clients on Sundays.
Wow.
It was a big thing for me. Yeah.
And how'd that feel?
Amazing. Because then I knew what people were talking about when they're like, yeah, it's the weekend.
True.
I didn't resonate with that for a good 5 years.
Man,
Yeah.
I really like the season thing.
Yeah.
Because now that I look at it, like, yeah, I'd probably stay in winter.
Too long?
Yeah, well, I'd probably just like stay there. Because things are like summer.
Yeah.
Or spring mode. And, like,
Well,
I'll stay in the winter.
the good thing about winter, so because Rochelle and I go into the 5 pillars, and the good thing about winter is that you have time to actually mend your relationships. So because you're not working so heavily on your business,
Like your personal relationships.
your personal relationships, because in summer it's like so many entrepreneurs have a hard time dating and finding a partner because they feel like their partner is going to feel abandoned or whatnot when their business gets busy. And I know, like, for me personally, I've struggled with that myself, because it's like, oh, well, you said you'd be available and now you're not. And it's like, yeah, well, something that I was really passionate about came through. So yeah, but in the winter time, it's your time to just rest and really replenish yourself, take care of your body, give yourself that extra hot bath or to just go for those massages that you've been wanting to go for, and take care of, date night that maybe fell off the wagon when you were in your summer.
Is that what that is? Oh, I had winter confused with something else. I was like just darkness and stuff.
I thought it was just
Yeah, it doesn't have to
I
be.
don't stay in the winter at all.
Well,
so
because it depends on, it's like specifically we're talking about your business here, right? So we're not just talking about what people experience generally in that season. We're specifically talking about the elements of your business, right? So that's why we look at relationships and we look at health. We look at your finances. So in your summer, your finances are like doing really, really well. But in your winter, that's when you want to use your savings, right? So summertime is an opportunity for you to build savings for your winter. So you can be conscious about that moving forward as an entrepreneur, that I'm going to prepare myself to save X
For the
amount of money
harvest.
so I can go into my winter feeling safe and comfortable and secure, knowing that this is my time to do me.
because a lot of people who aren't entrepreneurs don't get that. They
Yeah.
think because they're used to, I get $3,000
Yeah.
every 2 weeks. I get
Yeah.
$3,000 every 2 weeks. I get compared to like a lot of entrepreneurs, like, oh my God, I'm feasting
Yeah.
and now I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a roller coaster otherwise. And so what we want to do with understanding the seasons is to really just like eliminate like all of that chaos that happens within us emotionally, even spiritually. It can be chaotic
Yeah.
if we're not allowing ourselves to really acknowledge cycles and seasons.
And that's why I think it's important for entrepreneurs to set up passive income streams.
Yep.
Or have better financial IQ than someone who's not an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Like, know the markets, know about RSPs, set yourself up on, know what TFSAs are.
Right.
Get like low risk stuff that can feed you.
Right.
Because you have no company to fall. You don't have a pension. You don't have all these. You
No
really
benefits.
no benefits.
You're paying for your massages,
Yeah, you're paying for your massages. You're paying for your eyeglasses. You're
dentist, everything.
Yeah.
and people don't get that.
No. But I feel like I appreciate it more now.
You also,
Like, I want to pay for that because I see the value in it now.
I know there's so many people who are like, yeah, I have $1,500 a year massage. I don't use it. I'm like,
How do you not use that?
like what?
If you paid for it yourself and you knew you were paying for it yourself, you would use it.
So with the dating thing, it's interesting. Something I've
Yeah.
started to notice with entrepreneurs who work together
Yeah.
have like the strongest relationships I have ever seen.
Right.
Like Deepa and Sachin are an example. My friends
Trust.
Deb and James are an example.
Yeah.
Who else did I just meet that was the same thing? They seem to just, they're like, no, we're bonded on so many more levels.
Yeah.
Like they truly have each other's back everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've just noticed that they don't have, they actually enjoy, even though you'd think, oh, they're probably sick of each other.
Nope.
It's like they have more to do. They become like this like shared energy.
Yeah. More to talk about.
Yeah.
More to get excited about.
More to get
More
excited.
ideas to share with each other. More
Mhm.
inspiration.
Because you can talk about work in a lull time.
Yeah.
You can talk about, I haven't dated someone outside of my industry in such a long time. I wouldn't know what
Really?
that's like.
Hmm.
To like have to explain like what a probiotic is or why I have a bag of pills, why I
Really?
tan naked in front of my vitamin D lamp. Like all these conversations that would be weird to some people, I'd be like, you know,
It'd be interesting for you to do that and see what that would be like to
I'm going to go date an alcohol rep.
Once he does that, he's gonna like find the person.
Oh, look at that. He's got a download for you.
100%. People in his industry, not gonna do it.
What about you?
Me?
What's your experience been like?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm always fine. Like I've worked 9 to 5 more than I've been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So like this side is new.
Okay.
The 9 to 5 isn't, and I almost work my entrepreneur thing almost like a 9 to 5.
Right.
In some respects, even though I'm always doing it, like I'm
Right.
doing stuff now and I'm gonna do stuff until like probably 3 a.m. But it's always very 9 to 5 mentality. I have a very go like just do it mentality.
Right.
It's hard.
Very punctual.
Wow.
Am I?
Yeah. Cause I'll be like 15 minutes late driving. He's like, let's say I have to be here at 6:30. It's like, Jordan is 6:30 and 15 seconds. Where are you? I'm like, Colin, we live in Toronto, the worst traffic place in the world. I don't care. Get here now.
That's interesting. I'm actually normally early by 5 minutes everywhere I go.
If you're talking to somebody, like we have your name on the calendar.
Right.
8 o'clock, the other person's 6.
Right.
He knows he has to be here early.
Right.
So it doesn't matter where he is or what's going on. He already knew.
I was
He
here
said yes.
perfect.
I know, today you did it perfect.
That's great.
He's gotten so much better. So
You've helped him.
Yes.
Entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs.
he's helped me so much too.
There you go. That's the beauty of it.
Now I know what a probiotic is.
The fecal transplant stuff there is so weird. You know they're doing that now?
Well, I heard. Oh, wait, transplant?
They'll take like fecal matter of a healthy human and put it in. So like if someone's really thin, let's say someone their whole life is really thin, you can take their bacteria, put it into someone who's overweight, and that overweight person starts to lose weight, and vice versa.
What?
I know.
How weird is that?
So you're just gonna have like
How do they do that?
somebody's just gonna be getting revenge on thin people, like in the middle of the night, just like jamming, giving them bacteria.
How
The
do they
bacte-
give them
they're
the
showing-
bacteria, though? What's the process? Is it
Through
like...
stool, through fecal matter.
No, but how do they transplant it?
You have to eat it.
No,
Eat
no,
it?
they put into they either put into a capsule. I think they actually implant it. I don't know.
Or do you... Is it like a vaccine?
No, it's not injected.
Oh.
No.
I thought it was a surgery.
It's either oral or anal. I don't know which one. It's either anally put in
Wow.
or you take it through a pill. I know that sounded like dirty. I meant that like
We're just looking at each other. Whoa.
rectally. What's the proper scientific word?
I've never seen you blush before. This is great.
It's because it's hot in here. I'm sweating. Doesn't my tan?
Podcast, you see Jordan blush a bunch.
So
All his own doing as well. It's never somebody else making. He makes himself blush.
make myself laugh, cry, blush, squeal. Yeah, they're doing some crazy stuff in health now. Like, are you gonna do that fast that we got?
No, I'm not going to do that fast. I find that when I fast, I don't know. I think maybe I'm not doing it properly.
Well, that's why this one it's not a fast. It's a fast mimic diet. So you're able to take 1,100 calories in a day,
Right.
but you have to use that kit for 5 days.
Interesting.
So, because I find
Is that the book that we got?
Yeah,
The
but-
longevity.
yes, yeah.
Okay, I need to look deeper. I actually missed that talk.
So that is the only diet that I think FDA approval for reversing diabetes,
Wow.
and we got a free kit.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay, I'm gonna look deeper into that because I mean I brought the book home but I haven't opened it yet. So I mean
But yeah,
You
that
should probably get to some advice young men. But what would
We are getting advice. So she's giving us the seasons.
the energetic advice?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know.
Because she could help in that way.
Yeah. So this podcast men and women listen to, but the idea
Right.
is like to help men live better lives, truer lives. Because you also do relationship coaching.
I do a lot of stuff, and I've worked a lot with men recently, and I find it interesting because there has been a trend that I've noticed that's shifting in men that I'm actually really happy about. And it's this notion of vulnerability.
Amazing. Exactly.
Yeah. Because what
Colin,
I'm
the ultimate producer.
boom. Yeah, it's the notion of vulnerability because I feel like and I know this does affect business as well, but I feel like ultimately the studies and what I've seen with people is people, men or women, who hold on to emotions for long periods of time actually become more robotic in nature. Because they're not able to, they're holding more, maybe it's anger or frustration, and their body actually takes it. So part of, and Jordan knows this about me, part of my gift is also that I've learned how to do psychosomatic therapy, which is the ability to read somebody's body and their language and what's stored in there. And what I find is that a lot of men are storing things in their body because they're afraid to share that with somebody. They're afraid to express it. They're afraid to cry. They're afraid to say how they feel about something because they don't want to look like a wuss, or they don't want to be judged or criticized. And I feel like it's both I feel like it's also, women have to be able to hold space for men to be able to do that. Cause that's, that's an important part, is not to call somebody a wuss if they're going through something. But at the same time, I feel like we're going through this upgrade now where men are starting to allow themselves to be more vocal about their feelings and what they're going through. And I think that that's actually helping them to release a lot of tension and a lot of baggage, and to help them to engage in better relationships that are more harmonious in the long term. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. And I think men are sometimes expected to be superhuman. And that is not realistic, because it's not a good place to have a truly authentic, vulnerable relationship. And if you look at some of the most successful people, they're able to share their struggle. They're able to share some of the stories and some of the suffering that they've been through in order to help to elevate people, to help people feel like they're not alone. And I think when it comes to men and navigating life, I think it's very important to surround yourself with let's start with men first, because I think men need to be around men to really get this going in the beginning, to speak truth about their experience. If they're insecure about their girlfriend or wife cheating on them, say something. Like, tell a friend about that and see what it feels like to just have the conversation, right? Because sometimes even just expressing yourself can really shift a lot in terms of like, oh, that actually sounds silly to me now that I said that out loud. That's not true at all, but I just needed to say it. And then
because you ruminate on it, and
exactly,
it like weighs in you. Right.
And imagine like you're going to work every day with these thoughts. And so that's affecting the way that you're operating. It's affecting your productivity. It's affecting your efficiency. And 90% of our thoughts are subconscious. So they're affecting things on a level that we're not even aware that they're affecting. And they're going into our physical bodies. And so my first recommendation is to really start being okay to pay attention to your emotions. And for me, I had a really hard time with this because I was exposed at a very young age. My sister, she actually took my diary and read it at a party.
Wow.
Behind my back. And I found out later. And that actually crushed my ability to be vulnerable for like the next 2 decades of my life.
Should have wrote it in a different language.
Right? So I was called the Rock.
The Rock?
In my family, I was called the Rock. So anytime there was turmoil or chaos, everybody would come to me.
I thought you meant named after WWE.
No. Well, I guess energetically,
you slammed
it's the
your sister.
same.
You're like,
oh,
do
I
you
see.
feel what the Rock is?
Not in that sense, but energetically, like just being so strong. So it was kind of like this thing that was like, oh, well, she'll be fine. We'll just go to her for advice, and she'll help us because she won't feel it.
It's so weird when you're the kid.
Yeah. And then as I grew older and older, and I went through a really challenging divorce, and I realized I actually don't have anyone to talk to. Like in that moment that I said, I'm having a very hard time with this divorce. I can't turn to my mom. She thinks I'm a rock. I can't turn to my dad. He thinks I'm a rock. I can't turn to any of my friends. They all think I'm a rock, and everyone believes that I'm there for them, and I don't have anyone here for me. And then I realized, wait, you create your reality. I created that reality for myself. I created a whole relationship system around me where everybody relied on me and I relied on nobody.
Yeah, that's what I have. How did you fix it?
Yeah, I actually started writing again. So that's when I said, okay, you know what? That happened to me when I was a kid. My diary got exposed. This time, no one's here to expose my diary, and it's fine. So I started writing again. And I've been writing every day for half an hour to an hour for the last 6 years since the day of my divorce. And it has shifted me because I wasn't able to articulate my feelings to anybody because I didn't feel like I could trust people. So that's how it started.
Could you, when you were married, and tell me if it's okay, I'm asking,
Yeah,
could you trust your husband with stuff, or did you have that block too?
Well, you know, in the beginning, there was open communication, but as the relationship continued, it started to feel like the communication was getting more and more and more. The pipes were getting gunked up, and it felt like if I was being vulnerable for a minute and I didn't receive it back, I would just shut down right away. Because I was always looking for the next person to be just as vulnerable as I was for me to feel safe. And I realized that if I'm in a vulnerable situation and the other person's not being vulnerable with me, I somehow don't want to be in that situation with that person anymore.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, energetically,
you know
it's probably good to have.
You know what? That's exactly what we're going through right now.
Wow.
We have a friend
Okay.
who doesn't want to be vulnerable with him because he's afraid that he's going to be horrible to him back.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, I did some things when I was younger, or in the past with people, and so I'm trying to mend this friendship, like mend it in a way. And Colin's actually supposed to be like our mediator. And I came forward. I'm like, and I was like, yeah, you know, let's do it. Like, let's do this thing, because you know, I think it's important to mend any relationship that you can mend.
Absolutely.
Even if it's to a point where like, hey, maybe we mend it, and it's just like, you know what, maybe we'll be acquaintances.
Agree to disagree.
But yeah, like to me, I'm trying to be as heart open as possible.
Okay.
And it's been very difficult for me to have hard conversations because I'm a people pleaser at my heart.
Right.
So like, if I could shove my emotion down to please somebody on the surface for right now, I will. But Colin's helped me a lot with like, I've had more uncomfortable conversations probably the last 6 months than maybe the last 5 years.
Right. That's excellent.
And just sitting with someone and be like, hey, listen, I know this is maybe what you're going through. This is what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Like, there's no ill will. There's no bad intentions. But, and yeah, like, and now it's me detaching from the sadness of.
What would you recommend? So this person is like you were. So
right.
How would the best way to deal with somebody like that be?
Well, this is the thing is for most people, like for me, it was a safety issue. So I didn't feel safe unless I was with somebody that made me feel safe.
I think that's.
But see, I thought you would be that person.
I am, but it's a bunch of things have happened.
Do you think it's because we're too close?
No, just like I don't know, like nobody can protect him from what it feels like if you're not receptive to his feelings. Because you're just like us. You're his core set. You're part of it. He's one of your oldest friends, and you're one of his.
Yeah.
So what I feel is people shift when you start to say things like, and you don't just say this, obviously you want to be in alignment, but when you say things like, I understand you.
We can't even be in the same room right now almost. Like, it's like,
because he's like that. Like
he's pushed me away like fully.
Right.
We've always had a weird dynamic like that though, where like we'll be really close and I'm away for a bit, then we're really close and I'm away. But like the last few times have been, and it honestly happened off of one dumb argument.
Right.
And both of us thought we were right.
Right.
We weren't listening. Neither of us were listening to each other. It's probably about 7-8 months ago now. Like neither of us were listening to each other.
Right.
We both had earmuffs on. We both thought the other one was being an asshole. And yeah, am I right? Am I wrong? I'm both. He's right and he's wrong.
Right.
We're both. But like now it's like, that's why I thought going to Colin, that's the safe person.
Right.
And like the person that I thought could do that. But
right. So it's like this whole notion of like being right can sometimes get in the way of choosing love.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like that was the situation where it's like, is it better to be right, or is it better to just be love?
Yeah, and that's where I am now. Like, it's at a point where like I don't. What even we argued about doesn't even matter.
Right. So once he gets to that space as well, then I think things will organically show themselves. But I feel like if you're always trying to make someone do what they're not ready for, you're actually making that person feel less safe in some cases.
Yeah, that's why I don't force them to do it.
Yeah, because it can feel almost like an attack. Like, what's wrong with you? Let's fix this right now. Well, how about just take some space, whether it's 8 months or, a year or two. I've had friends where, there was a falling out, and we 3 years later would just bump into each other on the street like nothing ever happened. And it's because and it's like both of us did so much work on ourselves that we didn't even remember what we had a falling out about in the first place, and we laugh about it, right? And it's like moments like that where that's just what I like to call divine timing. You can't force a relationship that's not ready to be healed yet. I mean, both parties have to be in the exact same space of openness to be able to receive each other fully. And if one's ready to receive and the other isn't, or vice versa, then it's not the right timing yet. You can't force somebody. And I think that's also testing us in so many ways, because what happens to us in everyday reality is also a reflection of our internal wounds. And if you have an attachment to people liking you, which is what you said you do, that attachment to people liking you and being a people pleaser is what's being tested at its core, which is probably why you're having such a hard time with this.
Am I having a hard time? I've been working on just releasing the outcome,
right?
Like not worrying about what's going to happen,
right? But what's your biggest fear
right now?
Yeah, like what? Say this didn't get solved. What are you afraid of?
That the hatred coming from Donald Trump will start World War III. No. No, you know what? At this point, I'm saying this sincerely.
Yeah.
I don't have as much fear around it. I have, and I've told Colin this, I think. I'm like, when it happens, it happens.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's sort of, that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, I'm not going to chase it. No. I'm also not going to run from it.
No.
Well, yeah, that's why it's very weird, because like it happened as he was running from it, and then like he got good, he like learned some things and got better and got ready, and then something happened to him and he closed up and
right.
I don't care about this
right.
that much, as to get hurt again.
Yeah.
Because when it hurts, it hurts.
It does. But this is the other thing that I've noticed, is that every time I feel like I'm getting hurt at a really, really deep level where things just feel like everything's breaking apart and my heart's broken and I don't want to talk to people, or I just want to cry all day, what I find is when I come back to love after that cycle, the love that I can feel is so much deeper and so much more. It's like proliferating compared to the love that I could feel before. And so I feel like as humans, we go through these like experiences where we're tested to, into these spaces of heartbreak, but somehow on the other side of that is this place of like depth and love that is almost inaccessible if you hadn't gone through that.
We talked about this before on the podcast. Like, if you help a brand new butterfly get out of its cocoon, it will die. Because it needed that struggle to build its wings up. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I'm looking at all. Like, I just more and more look at struggles that way.
Yeah.
Like
that's a beautiful
and
analogy.
Since I've looked at that, I'm so much just like that anxiety's gone.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing too soon and nothing too late. Yeah. Right? Everything is just in perfect time, in perfect harmony. And I think it's all about control. We try so hard to control when things are going to happen and how things are going to happen and how we want our businesses to run and how we want our relationships to be and how we want to look after we eat this, particular diet for X amount of times and how much money we're going to make in this period of time. And like, what if we just set an intention, had a goal
and let it flow to you,
and then just let all the answers come to you minute by minute, day by day, rather than try to map out some kind of unknown future. You don't know what's going to come into your existence. I was saying like, Sachin was so gracious to allow me to speak at his event. And I never would have thought that a year and a half ago when I had him speak on my stage. that I would be speaking at his event, you know, a year and a half later. Or even before that, I was just actually an artist that was, you know, painting an energetic piece for his office. I never.
Which I'm trying to think. What painting is
the
yours?
one in his office, the turquoise pinky one that's got like the feather looking.
I haven't been there in
thing.
a while, but
Okay.
I'm wondering if I've seen it.
Oh, you've probably seen it. Yeah, you've definitely seen it if you've been in his office.
Yeah, I haven't been.
So that's just to show you, like, I went in as an artist and I came out as a speaker, right? And so you just never know.
You don't. Yeah.
You just don't know. You don't know where your heart's gonna lead you. You don't know where your relationships are gonna lead you. You don't know where things are gonna go, but you just have to continue to trust. And as long as you allow yourself to be the best version that you can be in any given moment, even if that's, hey, I'm really upset right now, I just have to cry. Crying is better than holding it in. That's the best that you can be in that moment, is to release the energy and the emotions that you're holding on to so you can be better after.
Yeah.
And that's where the writing comes in too, because actually they say when you handwrite, not only do you increase your immunity, I don't know if you knew that, but it actually increases the number of white blood cells in your body.
No.
Yeah. When they say people who handwrite actually increases their white blood cells in their body. So, but also writing is almost a way of releasing from the body what you no longer want to store.
Well, a lot of people were like, right. Like I remember I had a relationship coach. She's gonna come on the podcast actually, Joanna. She's an editor now, but at the time, talk about divine timing. I break up with this girl Marina, or she breaks up with me. The next day, Joanna on Facebook goes, started a new relationship coaching business, looking for clients, doing half off or something like that.
Right.
And I had no money at that time, so I agreed, and it was like $500, and that was a big commitment to me. And I was like, here's the $500.
Wow.
And she made me write down a letter to Marina. And then burn it. Yep. And I felt like a
new person.
And I forgot about that exercise until you said it right now.
Yeah.
But but you know what else she actually made me do and burn it was a timeline of the relationship and how I felt and how I felt. Wow. And then you burn it and almost like solidifies you just getting rid of that
powerful
energy.
I found a picture of her. I was like, hey.
But I like that. I like the idea of burning with intention too. Because if you're angry and you burn something, you're kind of like in that space of destruction, right? Yeah. But if you're saying like, I'm sending this back up to the heavens for purification, transformation, like send this back to love, what happens is it's not like leaving you with rage, it's leaving you with love.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people can do that with their health, with failures in entrepreneurial sense. And
yeah.
Because like a lot of these people who are sick right now, it's because they're holding on to all these like, if you're holding on to stuff and you're running at like 20% anxiety all day long, that you don't even realize it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. So many people are like that.
Last year, I actually had a case of sciatica and it was getting worse and worse. And I was like, okay, how am I going to work on this? So one thing that I decided to do was to research the emotional causes of sciatica.
Oh, what's that woman? Louise Hay. Louise Hay. She has a book on every...
You Can Heal Your Life. It's a powerful book. I actually brought it to the event. So it's all about pride. And I had to look at myself and I had to be like, am I being so prideful that I can't ask for help? And that was like 100% of what was going on in my life at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like thyroid is because people don't speak their truth.
Yep.
Prostate is because men don't feel like powerful in their own body.
Sexually. They've been repressed
sexually or abused.
Or shamed for being sexual. Mm-hmm.
There's it's like a lot of different body talks. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What happened with yours?
So it was all pride based. So I just did a lot of writing around it and it went away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I started asking people for help. I started pushing myself out of my comfort zone.
Wow.
It was hard, but I did it because I knew that it was affecting me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually just started writing for half an hour.
Wow.
Morning.
Cool.
You still doing that?
Yeah, I started like a month ago.
Cool. I love that.
Really good.
What about if you can't read your own writing?
It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it to read it.
My writing's gorgeous.
Mine's terrible, dude.
Is it? You don't have to do it to read it. You just do it to release stuff.
Yeah.
I used to do the 5-minute journal every day,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
which was cool.
Yeah.
I just write whatever.
Yeah.
Like whatever?
comes out.
No, I might write poetry. I might write my day. I might write something.
Yeah, poetry's.
Something I'm angry about.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
poetry's
write
a good
that
way
book.
to get stuff out.
You motivated me to write that book.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
had a
just-
really great download. Actually, my biggest breakthrough happened in your talk. I want to tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you talked about like the Oprah syndrome. I just call it the Oprah syndrome. I had that. Like all the ego stuff that happens to people who are like celebrities. I went through that.
The authority. Did you see I put author in there? Authority.
Yeah, I was like feeling like I'm not teachable because like I'm the teacher, and feeling like just there was so much stuff there that you wrote that was just like it just hit home.
So I had the 6 archetypes of successful practitioners, focus more for doctors, but the detective, it can be for entrepreneurs too. The detective, the seeker, the rebel, the socialite, the organizer, and the authority. And each personality type has really healthy habits, and they also have really unhealthy habits, and you are a blend of all 6. So a lot of people get stuck in, especially when they start getting successful, they become authorities. They're gurus, they're the best, they're the number one, but then they don't allow themselves to be taught anymore.
Yeah.
And they almost develop this ego, like, you can't teach me. Gary Vee? Like Gary Vee went on Joe Rogan. That was I know I may be the only one who says it, but they had this weird like.
No, they didn't. They just didn't know each other.
But Joe Rogan doesn't know a lot of people he brings on.
No, like he has like a image of them, but like Jamie was just like, you should talk to this guy, and just brought him and sat him down.
Okay, either way, like.
That's rare for Rogan. He doesn't usually do that.
He know.
What I think really happened with that interview is that Gary tried to hack that system, and Rogan's not a hackable system.
No.
He's like admittedly like that. He's like, I learned from no one. He's like, I read no books.
Yeah, that was me. I let go of all my books. I said, I don't want to read anyone's book anymore. Got it.
But I think it's okay to go through that winter time, getting back to your 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But like GSP said it, and if he believes this, George St. Pierre, he says he has a white belt mentality in the gym. The guy's rated one of the best UFC fighters of all time, black belt in karate, black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one of the best wrestlers. And he says you need to go in with a white belt mentality. That's cool. Because if you go in with this black belt mentality, you're going to be defeated eventually. Yeah. Or if you go in as you're learning, you can only get better every time. And so important. It's sort of a fine line, I think, between like knowing you're good at what you do and then also being open to, because that's like the seeker, right? Yeah. The seeker, someone I wrote in I'll be writing in my book, is like they seek knowledge. They always want to be the best. They're willing to learn. But sometimes a seeker is too concerned about learning that they don't realize that they already know a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like you have a lot of seeker in you.
Yeah, I got to that point when I sat down with my last interview because I'm like, you think you could get me a job as a PA? He's like, all the fucking stuff you do. He's like, you kidding me? He's like, you could easily be a PA. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, definitely, no problem.
I think Colin should start his own podcast business, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to. That was the first thing. Podcast production.
Go for it.
Now it's all coming. Doing one with Andy, doing one with Gary, doing one with you, doing my own.
But Hearty Gentleman has priority after yours. Okay. I know. We're the first, stamping the flag down.
Yeah, it's true. I think it'll be the most successful one.
Oh, well, thank you.
There you go.
Apparently I have a unique personality.
It's because of you. Because I think you'll be able to get like sponsorship. I think that'll be an easy thing for you.
We're already sponsored. Did you know that we're sponsored by Migraine Rescue? Actually, we're sponsored by the Migraine Rescue. It's 21-day program. Yeah, it's great. Maybe we'll have a Hearty Gentleman supplement line.
I'll be producing that too.
Sounds like a soup to me.
Yeah, we're sitting down. I have all the video scripts now. The Hearty Gentleman supplement line.
Hearty vegetable soup, Hearty Gentleman soup.
You should see our logo. You haven't seen it yet?
I have not.
Oh boy.
Is there creatine in it?
No. It looks like an egg.
Yeah,
it's a Hearty egg.
Strange for a man's program.
Right? It's an egg and it's cracked and it looks like a gentleman.
It has like a bow tie with a little hat.
I have no part in it.
Why the
I
egg?
went on Fiverr and I hired someone. They had 2 different logos. I'm like, I actually really like the egg. It's sort of like funny and me-ish.
It's like cracking people open?
Yeah.
What is the intention there?
Oh my God. She figured it out.
The gentleman. That's what it is. It's
boom.
Open the gentleman.
See, we had it. See? You produced the meaning.
You guys needed a woman to tell you that.
Yeah, 100%.
On that note.
Wow.
Before we wrap up though, is there anything else that you would like to tell our peoples?
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in the 4 seasons of successful entrepreneurship, we're super excited because we are actually taking it international. So we're going to be bringing this to London, England in January. And we're also looking to take it to potentially LA, California.
Wow.
When's the event in Toronto?
So the event in Toronto, it might have passed already, September 22nd and 23rd, depending on when you choose to. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say something about
However,
another wedding.
in London, if you guys want to come to London, England, we're going to be there on the 18th and the 19th of January. And I actually want to give 20% off to anyone listening.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested, check out the website. You can check out my website, www.selenamoon.ca, and just shoot me off a message and let me know that you listen to the Hearty Gentleman podcast. You're interested in attending, and we'll set you up.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
That was amazing.
who's your official podcast team while you're there?
You?
Colin, are we going to England?
Are you guys going to come to London, England?
We could set up a little booth. We could do like a little interview. What'd you
That would
learn?
be amazing.
Do you want us to do that?
Let's do that. Are you guys down for coming in?
I'd go to England. Do you want to go to England?
We might actually go to Paris after too.
What?
We're thinking of actually just taking it to Paris.
And
while we're
Ibiza.
there.
What about Ibiza? It's
I don't know
more.
if there's that many. There's more partiers in Ibiza than entrepreneurs, but we could definitely go there after. And
I don't
party.
know though.
I've
I
been
think
there.
a lot of those like,
Have you?
Oh yeah,
but there's probably a lot of like traveling entrepreneurs in Ibiza.
it's just a party town.
Damn.
I mean, they might try to work, but
We could set up a little
I don't
studio.
know how much success. At least from the last time I was there.
That's what it says on the invoice when they send it to their boss. We were working.
But listen, we could set up a little studio.
That'd be
It would
awesome.
be a Hearty Gentleman, 4 Seasons entrepreneur
I love
co-produced thing. We just interview the guests, see what they liked about the event,
For sure.
talk about what they're doing, and then you
Yeah.
have like a whole like thing that you could send out.
I'm down.
That would be awesome.
That'd be really cool.
We're actually creating our website right now, so that would be epic to have on our website as well.
January 22nd.
No,
Colin?
wait. January 18th,
18th,
and 19th. It's
19th.
a Friday and a Saturday.
We're gonna go more than 2 days. It's a 7-hour flight or 6-hour
Oh,
flight.
we're going for like a full-on, like probably 2 weeks.
How long is the flight? 6 hours?
Something like that.
It's so crazy. England is just as far as Vancouver.
Yeah.
I have family there.
In
In
England?
England?
Or Vancouver?
My uncle,
In
no,
London?
England, yeah.
Nice.
My uncle and a bunch of cousins.
Maybe you can stay with them.
We've never seen them.
I've been to Heathrow once.
Really?
Never met them before.
You're gonna go. We're gonna go. Is
Oh,
it
you
cold?
guys gotta come.
And it's not as cold as Canada.
Not as cold as it is here.
No.
No, it'll be nicer there than it is in Canada.
Gavin lives there. You can see Gavin.
Who's Gavin?
He's just a mutual friend.
There you go.
Not the one we were talking about.
Gavin it up.
The fact
That's
that
what I was gonna say.
the fact that you don't know him and you said that statement, which is the perfect statement for Gavin.
Yeah, wow.
I must have read your mind by accident.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you to Migraine Rescue for sponsoring this episode. And
Thank you for having me.
no, it
This
was
is
great.
Yeah, it was
Thank
fun.
you.
You guys are a lot of fun. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Oh,
Oh gosh.
we're going to
Awesome.
England.
Yeah, lots got decided there.
I know. So you gotta ask at the right moment.
Totally. How long was that?